music, stories, and more. You're listening to Artbeat Radio, a program by Able Arts Work.
Welcome back to Artbeat Radio. And would you please introduce yourself?
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Gretchen Swanson, and I serve here in the city of Long Beach as chairperson for the Citizens Advisory Commission on Disability.
And how long have you been doing this?
That's a great question, and I'm not sure. I have been, seriously, I've been on the commission. I think I'm going into my 7th year. You can only stay on the commission for 8 years total, but I've been chair since last July.
And do you like it?
It is so important to me. It took me a while. I asked a couple of times to be on the commission because I think it's fundamental to a quality of life and a thriving community that we have justice, disability justice. So liking, it's more than liking. It to me, it's a direction, it's a North Star, it's a way to participate in real meaningful differences. So yes, I like it.
Every one of these people that have a disability, they have a quality of life that they should get out.
I totally agree. One thing that has helped me sort of shape my thinking is a project I got to work on several years ago in the late 80s, early 90s, when the World Health Organization had evolved their thinking about this concept of disability. And they knew that the old models just didn't work. They were not thoughtful. They were more oriented towards labeling people and categorizing people. And so the World Health Organization worked with experts and thought partners and persons with disability around the world in different cultures and different languages. And they came out with a concept and a way of describing it called the functional classification system. And here in the United States and Canada, I was asked to help orient groups of people here to those ideas. And one of the biggest ideas, not to get into the weeds, but a really important fundamental idea is that the whole point is for participation in society. And so when we talk about quality of life and thriving and abilities, our communities want to know that they can participate. They're important, that their voice is needed. There's a place for them. So that participation idea has come forward, and now we talk about DEI. Well, we do here in Long Beach, and that idea of diversity, but also equity and inclusion. Equity and inclusion are a way to bring forth that idea that people ought to have the opportunity and devise opportunities to participate in the greater good, whether it be in a club at school or something at their church, if they want to voice something to their city council person. All of that is participation.
Well, first of all, I have some icebreaker question to ask you.
Let's break some ice, Brian.
What do you do in your free time?
Oh my God. Free time. That's a great concept. Well, I am old enough, and I should be retired at this point. So I don't work for money, but I am active. And one of the things, and what I'd like to share with your community with this podcast, is on the Commission on Disability, we are holding the city's first ever survey. And we may talk about that more in later, but I just went this morning and spent a couple of great hours at a community center where there are older adults who meet every day for Tai Chi and then afterwards for lunch. And we explained to them about the importance of this survey, and they were happy to fill that out. And so 2 or 3 times a week I go out into the community and talk about this project. So that's here and now. Other things, other volunteer opportunities, I've been involved with Pools of Hope and Heart of Ida and the Community Land Trust, all things that require support because they're grassroots efforts here in the city of Long Beach. So different things. I should do the dishes and water my garden, but these other things are more fun.
May I ask how big your garden is?
Oh my God. Well, I consider anything that grows in my yard a part of the garden. And it's fairly substantial. We do grow vegetables, and we have a lot of fruit. Trees and vines, and then I focus on cultivating a plant environment for the 3 Bs, what I call the 3 Bs, birds, bees, and butterflies, so that we have pollination in our yard. So my front yard looks a little chaotic compared to the neat and tidy neighbors that I have, who are lovely, so that becomes sort of a sanctuary for those pollinators. So it's kind of big enough for me.
What is your background?
I got out of high school and went to college and got a degree in physical therapy last century, and I did a lot of different types of work. I didn't work in traditional settings. I did a lot of evaluation of programs to see if they were valid, if they were meaningful. So I have sort of a research bent. But I retired a couple of years ago, retired my license because being a physical therapist requires a license in each state, and I retired after 50 years of being a PT. I have a sort of unusual PT degree. In addition, they started evolving the profession towards having folks come out with a doctorate degree in physical therapy, and so they needed a pool of people to actually prepare those folks, and so I was a part of that pool here in Southern California. So it's considered a post-professional doctorate in physical therapy. It's a mouthful, and no one really cares, tell you the truth. But it gave me an opportunity to blend my public health and the idea that maybe we don't best serve people in the models that we're in. A lot of people don't get the services that they should have in the way they should have it, or because they can't access it because of our fractured insurance model here in the United States. So those are the kinds of issues that I've spent the last 15, 20 years of my professional career in.
Where did you go to school?
So I'm from upstate New York, and what that means is it's all that land that's above New York City. That's called upstate New York. About 150 miles from the Canadian border. And I went to a school in Syracuse. So I went to the SUNY, State University of New York in Syracuse, for my bachelor's. And then I went to UCLA and on to USC. I know that's, people get weirded out that I went to both schools. I had no idea that you're not supposed to go to both schools. I will say that the parking at USC was much better than at UCLA. I got less parking tickets, but I didn't realize that there was this fervor between those two schools.
What is your current job title?
Retired.
Well, that is a quick answer.
Well, when you're retired, you don't have time to,
Yeah.
you got to move on. Yeah. No, they have high expectations. When they think you're still working, they want you to do stuff. No, I want to cut that.
Have you always been interested in disability studies?
Yeah, I would say yes. I've been interested in it and involved with it. My mother was one of the first physical therapists here in the United States, sort of the first generation of professional PTs, and people think that's why I went into it. But we had different approaches for different interests, which speaks to the broadness of it. But the underlying values of the importance of having a discipline that works on function and health. I was raised with that. So it's been with me for a long, long time.
What is your hope for the future with people with disabilities in Long Beach?
Well, this is where I'd like to step in and talk about the program, the activity that we're doing from the Commission on Disability. Is that a year and a half ago we were approved and then funded by City Council here in the city of Long Beach to create, with a research team at Cal State Long Beach, the first ever survey of disability here in the city of Long Beach. And when we say that to people, we've done several hundred of these interviews now. People are taken aback that the city has never asked that question. But when you think about the way we've been doing policy, it seems like we don't have information. So it makes sense. And then it's critical that we have that information. So the future here is to bring really informed data, not only the numbers, like the quantitative data that everybody gets into checking the boxes, but also the personal experience. So we interview people, or they self-interview themselves in this survey process. It's online. You can find it through the city website. It's the disability survey. Or I'm going to just give a little info here. You can email ada@longbeach.gov, and they'll give you a link, or they'll send you the QR code. You can do it online. It takes about 15 minutes to do. We really, really, really want to hear from people who just don't get an opportunity to be heard. That's what we were talking about before the mics went live, is if we don't hear these voices, then we don't know that there are issues or there are these experiences. So not only doing the project, which will take months to, once it closes at the end of June, then the researchers will collate the data and so on and so forth, but there'll be public presentation of it. And then we want to go back to communities, like maybe you'll invite me back and we can share what we're hearing from all the different communities. So there's no age limit. We're looking to hear from people who self-identify as having a disability, whether someone has designated you in a certain way. That is not of interest. We want you to say to the community at large that you have self-defined your ability to participate, and that would be awesome. So that's my future. Got a lot of things to do.
Well, that's definitely mean not only me with disabilities, but anybody with other disabilities, not like Down syndrome.
Yes. Thank you so much. So, in the beginning, we thought about how can we encourage people to self-identify, yet give them some sort of idea of the different communities there could be. So mobility disabilities frequently come up because that's a visible issue, and it deals with getting out and about, which is very American, very much a part of our society, right? But there are invisible disabilities. There are not yet diagnosed disabilities. There are mental health, cognitive, intellectual disabilities. There's vision and hearing. So there's a variety, and people can identify which of one or more of those areas seem to reflect who they are. Other people ask, do you have to live in Long Beach to take it? And the answer is no. You just need to do something in Long Beach, like hang out, go to church, go to school, go to a favorite bar, whatever. If you have family and friends in Long Beach, we want to know, because you're coming to Long Beach, and we can't be welcoming if we don't know who people are that are coming into our city, into our community. So that's a really long-winded question and answer. No, the question was very succinct. My answer was long.
Very long. What is your community survey, and why is it important?
What's the importance? Okay, one, brilliant question, because one, we don't know. We don't know who's out there. And of the people that we can get to participate, we don't know what is or isn't an issue. Maybe we think it's all about transportation, when in fact it has to do with being able to evacuate during an emergency. Well, we don't know that unless we hear from people. So this information is to inform our city leadership, the city programs and services, all the city departments, about who is out there that needs to be attended to and paid attention to. And then that informs us as a commission as how to start to bring those departments in and ask them really meaningful questions, like parks and recreation. Do we have parks, which are the physical spaces, and recreation, which are the programs? Do we have adequate ones for all these communities? And we'd probably say no, it's not sufficient. Well, but where do you start with sufficiency? You need to know from people what they think would be helpful. So how can this be used? It can be used in a lot of ways, but the responsibility goes back to the commission. And this is the other part of what I'd like to invite and maybe have a dialogue is we'd like more people to jump on board. That's once a month. You can Zoom and come into the meeting, and during public comment, share what concerns are, respond to the speakers that we have, so that we have more intelligence and more information. So I think your community can help the greater community as we go forward. I am so excited for this opportunity. I can't thank you enough for asking and putting me on the spot for really insightful pieces of information that are going to make a difference. So thank you.
I want to thank Gretchen for me interviewing. And it was a pleasure for you to be interviewed by me. And I want to thank Cristina and Brandon for being here. And this has been another episode of Artbeat Radio. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed interviewing Gretchen. Thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this installment of Artbeat Radio. For more information, please go to our website, ableartwork.org. Thank you for